Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Human Intelligent Dialogue. It's a pleasure for me to have another speaker for you, this time from another international perspective. I have the Dean of Keiser University out in Latin America. I tell you always, I like to bring speakers from different perspectives and provide different insights. I'll give opportunity to Dr. Granja here to introduce herself, but what I thought she brought rather unique to the table was that obviously she's bringing in a lot of students who are trying to up their skills from a leadership perspective and so forth in the future of work. But at the same time, she has a staff and a team, so she has to demonstrate that leadership too. So, welcome back to all of you when you're listening in, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Granja, thank you for joining us too. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it too.
I appreciate that. So let's get started. Tell the audience a little bit about your background and what you're doing today and that kind of stuff. Give them some more context and color.
Yeah, well, I've been working for over 20 years in the educational, and I started working for education, when since 2 days after that's where I started working for a university. So that's been my commitment, my purpose and the mission of life, supporting students and getting them to have their best potential. So I know I've been working with teams all the time. I've been leading teams all the time. So I do have this variety of experiences. I've served in the university in different capacities, since when I was working with the leaders, with the SGA, the student government, I was supporting these students in the student activities department. Then I supported as Dean of Student Life. I was also part of an important business school. I was supporting the professionals there. It was like a high management type, upper level management that I was working with. And right now I'm the Dean of Academic Affairs, and I support a lot of teams, especially the faculty, but mostly the students. And it's been a great journey, I have to say. It's my mission of life, education, and I love what I do. A lot about leadership, probably from the other side, because I'm more like supporting the leaders that will support the companies. But I can see a lot of things, and I honestly can say a lot of things about leadership from the seat that I am in now.
Yeah, and I think you bring a rather unique perspective because, to your point, here you are in Nicaragua, dean of an American university. And then on top of that, you have professors. Yes, you have professors there, but then you have professors like myself globally. I think there's one in Spain, and there's different professors even from the US that kind of come in and teach some of your classes. So how has that been for you, particularly when it comes to the trends that are taking place and things of that nature?
Yeah, it has been a great experience because it's not only leading people, because just people, they are difficult to lead sometimes. I mean, we can be complicated at a certain point, but when you add the culture, a different culture, when you're trying also to teach those people or to train them on the culture that we have in Nicaragua, it's a different country, a different beautiful one, of course. But sometimes it becomes a little bit difficult to do that. But I think I've been so natural about it in a sense. I've been part of this university for a long time. I also studied at an American university, so I can relate to people in that way. So it's been awesome to know this diversity, and I think that has been the key point for me, to know how to work with people in different areas, in different countries, with different type of leaders, from the students to the faculty to senior leaders. So I would say it's more like I appreciate the fact of working with diverse, multicultural background people. And they have added a lot of value to our university in Nicaragua. I appreciate the fact that some of the professors, they can teach online. So it's beautiful. I mean, this new world that we have, I don't think I had the opportunity of having professors online back then when I was a student. I was studying on ground, so it was the professors that we had there that were able to be in my country at the moment. So it's been beautiful in that sense, getting to know all these professionals, and they add a lot of value to our students.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious. What are some of the trends you're seeing emerge now in your position over the last couple of years, not only with your organization, with the faculty and mainly the staff that you have there, but also as you're seeing the students coming through, whether they're getting an MBA or they're getting a certificate in management and leadership. So, what are some of the issues you're hearing and sensing in your own world, and then with some of the students that are coming through university when it comes to human capital trends? What are you sensing?
Yeah, I would say, as I was thinking, about the different challenges that we're dealing with, I would say that we are in a rush sometimes, and I mean it, like everybody, we are in a rush. Sometimes there's a lot of information, it can become overwhelming. There's a lot of pressure to be successful in life, and you see so many people. Honestly, when I was a student, I don't think I've seen so many people like the students or the young people can see now because they have access to all this information, to all these videos and, TikTok and all the different platforms. So I would say that we live in a rush. And that takes me to the second challenge that I can see, and that is that sometimes you don't see people committed to a purpose. It's more like a doing culture, but sometimes it's like they forget, or we can forget our purpose of lives. And I have to remind myself that I wake up and I have to say, okay, this is my purpose of life. Maybe it's not dependable on the job that I have because that's the issue. Sometimes you connect your purpose to what you do, not what you are. So for me, it's been a journey of getting to know myself and understanding what my mission is. It doesn't matter where I am or who I'm working for, but who I am and what I bring to the table. It doesn't matter where I am. And that sense of purpose, I think that sometimes people find it difficult to get it and find it and understand it because they're doing so many things that they don't get to have the time to think about these things, about purpose and their mission of life.
Yeah, so being in a leadership role, and you're seeing it's interesting trends that you talked about, people being in a rush, that's so true. And then the other one is, are you in touch with your purpose? When today, a lot of the research is saying that's what people are really looking for, a purpose in life. It's no longer just about a paycheck. What are some solutions you, as the dean of the school, are bringing to bear to try to make a difference for your team, for your staff, and even for the students coming through? Because obviously they're there to try to better themselves.
Yeah, I would say that the number one thing, and I will be mentioning this all the time, is that everything starts with you. Everything starts with how you are and what you transmit to other people, what you convey to them. So I would say that like I try to be very committed to the fact of being okay myself, like having the well-being that I need so that I can serve people in the same way. And hopefully that's going to get them to serve in the same way that I am doing it. And that will be a number one thing. I try to bring a lot of calm and peace environments. I'm looking for, for well-being and for being in a place where they enjoy being with. I mean, life is not easy, and there's always, when you're working, you know that you have to be solving a lot of problems because that's a main reason why you have a job in the first place. So because there's a lot of pressure, and especially like in my seat or in the positions that I've had, what I try to do is, be good with myself and provide that well-being to my teams. And just it's just like allowing them to fail sometimes. They can have the trust to say, okay, I made a mistake. So I try to keep it calm. I think that's more like my personality, but it's also something that I've worked out because I tend to be intense. I'm Nicaraguan, I'm Latin person, so we tend to be very intense. We want things done and before, like one day before. And I still have that in my DNA, but I try to keep it cool, and sometimes this can sound cliche, but sometimes we miss the fact of having fun. Sometimes we miss it, and we really have to have fun in what we do. So I try to people use the sense of humor as well. I know I can seem like serious, but sometimes I have to use it. It comes naturally, especially when I trust the team that I am with. Because sometimes we need that. We're still humans, even though there's a lot of technology around and many platforms and AI and everything that comes with this new world. But I still try to use that human touch, which has to do with humor and providing that sense of well-being to my teams.
You know, you touched on several things. Later on after this, I'm going to share a contact for you that I think you might find interesting. So you just touched on something, and I call it part of the future of work, and that is so AI, remote hybrid, workforce psychology, workforce evolution. Where do you see all of that headed, and what do you see as implications?
Well, what I see is that we need to adapt, and that has been a concept that I have been working on as a human as well as, myself. We need to adapt. I have seen the need of having people that are able to adapt. And, being rigid is not something good anymore. I mean, we have to be able to be flexible. We don't live in the same world that we know. It has changed a lot. Like in 4 years, I've seen a lot of changes that, they were slow before, but right now they're really fast. I think that things are happening so fast that sometimes we miss all the things that are happening. So I would say, and that's important that we're able to adapt, that we're able to be flexible. And I think companies, institutions, we should be looking for people that have those skills. And even in the interviews when we had from the talent recruitment, that when at that moment I tried to ask the right questions to see if that person is going to be able to adapt. Because right now it's all about resilience, it's all about being flexible because the world is changing too much. And when you're talking about, remote jobs and things like that, I know that most people enjoy working, remotely probably because they have that flexibility. And I think that's happening, and I've seen that change. What is beautiful is that if you can really provide that balance and people, and you have, the right way of setting the goals for these people and the objectives that they have to reach, I think that can provide some flexibility to certain people that would like, to work for different companies. They can only do it remotely. So what I do see is a need of adaptability, for flexibility, and a need for the companies to understand and create even the regulations and the policies that are needed so that they can provide that flexibility. Because sometimes what happens is that they don't want to provide those things to the employer, to the employees, because they are afraid of those people, I mean, taking advantage of that flexibility. But if they can actually provide, the right setting and the right policies to make that happen, and allow the employees to be productive in a different environment, a flexible environment, I think that will be important for the employees. And at the same time, we would expect from these people it will be commitment. And once again, if we work on that commitment, on that sense of purpose, we provide that flexibility and that trust to the employees, I think they will be productive anyway.
Yeah, that's it's an interesting point because some of the things I'm speaking about, writing about, and I keep reading about is people looking for happiness, which I'm a lot older than you, but when I came into the workplace, that was not what people were being expected to get, happiness. But people are looking for happiness, purpose, appreciation, a simple thank you is some of the things that people are looking for. So, based on what you've experienced, what kind of advice would you provide to managers, employees, and HR professionals who are listening to this, but in particularly for those even in Latin America? Because I find some subtle differences, but not so different. Because when I teach my classes, I tell them what I'm going to talk to you about is the human dynamic at work. And that is irrespective of culture and part of the world. Because I've been around the world and I've talked about these things. So I keep finding similar themes. But what advice would you give to managers, employees, and HR professionals out there?
Yeah, what I would say is, setting a standard for the recruitment from day one. I would say that can give you an idea of the type of talent that you can get and the type of talent that you want to have in your companies. So I would say that they pay attention to the onboarding. Sometimes we miss people in that process. That's key. That's an training people to know how the culture works, and that's what promotes the rotation. Sometimes it's like they enter the institution but they don't know what to do, how to do it, especially why they do it. And I always go back to what Simon Sinek says, and I follow a lot of advice that Simon Sinek provides. And he says that we usually know how to do things We know what we do because there's a job description and we are hired for a certain position, but sometimes we don't know why we do it. So, it's important from day one to tell them this is the mission of the institution, this is what we do. So they actually fall in love with that mission connected to lives. So I would say that everything starts at the moment that they hire people and they see the skills that they need to have. I would say that they pay more attention to human skills now. Of course, it's important that they know about AI, and of course that's needed. They have to. But those are things that you can train people on, but you need to try to see if they have that adaptability, that resilience, that emotional intelligence, because those things are more difficult to train, And I would say invest some time on people, getting to know people, um, take some time to have like face to face meetings with them. I manage a lot of people, and sometimes I find it difficult to sit with everybody like every week. But I try to do it like just have like a ritual, and have that moment and say, I'm dedicating this time for you. Probably I don't have it throughout the year, but I have it at this point or this semester or this moment, this break, and I'm dedicating this because people want to listen to. And I would say listening to people is an important skill. They provide the feedback. Sometimes they are the ones that are in the field. So I would suggest that we go back to the human part, and we try to. Sometimes it's like we think that we don't have to study what to be human is, but I think we have to at some point. I mean, we're being trained on being so productive and doing things and using these platforms, these technology, but sometimes we forget what it means to be human.
Yeah, that is so true. Which, as I say, in the era of AI, you need HR, you need human intelligence. So, are you creating that sort of environment for? Are your leaders creating that sort of environment, which in turn becomes an organizational culture, which is a reflection of leadership? And one of the other interesting points that you just made is about listening, which unfortunately in the book Mind of the Leader, it says that 8% of leaders are effective listeners and communicators. 8%. So that leaves 92% of the rest out there. So I guess I'll have a job till the Lord decides I go home. That's it's been real interesting because, like I said, you're in a unique position in that you're in Nicaragua. You're in an American university helping these students come through, mostly professionals. Because I've had the gamut from doctors to lawyers to engineers and so forth in my classes, business owners. Type of thing, and then on top of that, you also have this audience that your staff on campus there that need to help you deliver on the services that you all provide. So, any closing comments from you, Dr. Grana?
Yeah, well, I would say I would take a point that I had mentioned to you at the beginning, and I always try to make it part of the slogan of my life and my mission of life, and is to go back to ourselves. If we really want to change, I will use Gandhi's words, and I would say you need to be the change that you want to see. So if we don't start with us, I find it difficult that we can make an impact or change anybody's lives. Because I mean, everything is about coherence, and people see those things. We are humans, and we can see if people are actually falling or being coherent with their words, and they will follow more the example than whatever beautiful words you say. Even though my area is communication, and I know how impactful it could be, to speak well, but people will not follow that. They will follow the example. So I would say just make sure that you're working on yourselves, that you have that self-knowledge, and understand that there's so many areas that you can still work on. Be humble, because I mean, I've been in this like in the educational world for 20 years, and I can say I know certain things of experience, but I always have an open mind and an open heart, and I say I need to learn. My faculty, I would say they are the ones that are teaching me to be humble all the time, because they're experts in many different areas, and I listen to them because I don't know it all, and I have to rely on them. So I would say just be humble, communicate with transparency, and people would appreciate that. Sometimes I tend to be blunt, and I tell them in advance, okay, I'll be blunt. I will say what I think. I'll be transparent. But I have found that people like that. And also I'm also diplomatic in a sense, I try to keep it cool and be nice about certain things. those are traits and skills that you need to have if you're going to be blunt, because sometimes people can be, sensitive about the way that you talk to them. But in my case, they know who I am, they know me, they know I have the best intentions. So I would say communicate directly and transparently and drive change. I will finish saying that. Drive change, drive innovation. We cannot stay in the same position ever. We need to be changing. We need to be implementing new things. We need to be innovating, bringing new things to the table. Because if not, we die. We die not only as a person, but also as an institution, the institution that we serve. So I would say keep changing, keep moving, keep flowing. That will be the last advice that I would say that has changed my life personally and professionally. Sometimes you need to flow. You need to flow, and that's the best way to be happy in life.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting and timely since pretty soon I'll start teaching organizational development and change. And that's some of the advice I'm going to give to these students is make sure you're constantly changing. If not, you become one of those organizations that don't exist anymore. The other thing you mentioned is that you as a leader are on always on spotlight. I call it the you're a celebrity to a certain extent. A leader is a celebrity because people are watching what you say and what you do, and do they coincide? And the other piece that you mentioned that I always tell leaders or anybody that's in front of me of an audience, I tell them take care of yourself first. So similar to when you get on a plane, they say put your mask on first. I say you need to do that first because in order for you to help others, you need to make sure you're taking care of yourself. And unfortunately today, 70% of managers out there are stressed out. 40% are willing to step down. So when I have some of the students come through that are getting a certificate in management and some of them are not in management yet, I said, so you're going to have a lot of breakout opportunities in my class to speak to those that are in management. Make sure you know what you're getting into because it's not just this huge whopping paycheck that your employees think you got, and you know it's not a big whopping paycheck or increase. So make sure you're doing it. So yeah, take care of yourself and help your organization go forward. So Dr. Granja, thank you so much. I hope for those of you that are listening in, gain some insights and perspectives here. You'll get her contact information on the other side here when we're done. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your transparency and your information. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. We're glad that you stopped by to visit. We're in the business of helping organizations in the growing era of AI become more HI, and that is become more of a human intelligent workplace. And we do that in a variety of ways. We can do speaking engagements. I can come in and speak to you either at executive retreats, at offsites, keynotes, things of that nature, to kind of share with you some of the trends that are taking place and what the implications may be for your organization. Sort of in a way, put a mirror up to your organization and say, these are the things that are happening. Are you ready for them? Are you doing something about it? So that's just one way. Another way we do some work with organizations is through executive coaching, helping from VPs to frontline supervisors, those to soon to be in supervisory, high potential individuals, help them in their development. Also do leadership and team development work. And along with that, we use instruments to help organizations from a consulting perspective help themselves, whether it's the Human Intelligent Workplace Instrument or questionnaire to take a sense of, hey, how are we doing in this space? Also, organizational change readiness questionnaire. Are you ready for the changes? What are you missing based on some of this information? And lastly, we also look at leader behavior effectiveness questionnaires. How well are your leaders doing? How do they assess themselves? And how are the workforce assessing them too, whether it be 360 or others? So we're here to help, particularly in this ongoing changing era that organizations are facing, a time of uncertainty, a time where the workplace or the workforce is expecting different things. So hopefully you'll reach out to us and let us know how we can help you out. You can look at some of our information that we have out on our website, some of the various podcasts, some of the articles and videos that I've put out there. And hopefully those will percolate and create some thoughts and reflective moments to think about maybe we need to have a discussion with the human intelligent workplace. Thank you very much.